With the promise of providing quality education, teachers usually come to class enthusiastically while bringing a head full of knowledge, a body full of energy, and a bag full of materials for teaching. Unfortunately, not all learners share the same passion in class. Just like the animals seen in the picture, learners have different needs and demands when it comes to learning. And the biggest mistake of past centuries in teaching has been to treat all children as if they were variants of the same individual and thus to feel justified in teaching them all the subjects in the same way. Now let's get to work first. In the box, you may see the most common teaching strategies employed in the classroom. Rank the strategies in the box from the most effective, which is to be placed at the top of the pyramid, to the least effective, which is to be placed at the bottom of the pyramid. Then guess the percentage of information an average learner may retain for each. Let's check our answers. As you can see, lecture is the least effective method in teaching. It can help learners retain only 5% of information shared with them. On the other hand, teach others, or also called peer teaching, is the most effective method in teaching. It can help learners retain 95% of information shared with them. This method is followed by practice by doing with 75 information retention rate, demonstration with 50%, audio and visuals with 20, and reading with 10. One of the most frequently asked questions by teachers worldwide is how to successfully meet the needs of diverse learners in the classroom. The answer is using innovative ideas on differentiated instruction. Learners in the classroom are diverse due to their differing personal experiences, prior educational experiences, readiness levels, motivators, and interests. Differentiated instruction is the process of recognizing learners' varying background knowledge, readiness, language, preferences in learning, and interests. It is the approach in teaching learners of differing abilities in the same class. Differentiated instruction aims to maximize each learner's growth and individual success by meeting each learner where he or she is and assisting in the learning process. It's a set of unique decisions to bring learner within the grasp of all learners. It provides avenues to acquire content, process ideas, and express learning. If you would like to use differentiated instruction in the classroom, remember that it entails that all learners participate in respectful work. Teachers and learners must work together to ensure continual engagement and challenges. Specifically, the teacher coordinates use of time, space, and activities, while the learners are arranged in flexible grouping, which includes whole class learning, pairs, learner-selected groups, teacher-selected groups, and random groups. In differentiated instruction, time use is flexible in response to learner needs. A variety of management strategies such as learning centers, interest centers, and learning buddies is used to help target instruction to learner needs. Individual and group criteria must be clearly established to provide guidance towards success. And most importantly, learners are assessed in a variety of ways to demonstrate own thought and growth. The common misconceptions about differentiated instruction is that it is a class-centered and mainly for learners with learning problems. It is not a tracking system by abilities, nor does it require a different lesson plan for every learner. Differentiated instruction will not produce unmanageable or undisciplined learners in the classroom, and it's not a method you will need all new materials for. Rather, differentiated instruction is learner-centered. It is for all learners regardless of abilities, strengths, and weaknesses. It is a change in teaching philosophy wherein the teachers would use multiple approaches or options for content, process, and product. It is flexible, varied, and based on continual reflection and adjustment. A model for differentiated instruction elaborates that the curriculum and learners are unalterable factors. However, the learning environment, content, process, and products may be modified to reflect the principles of differentiated instruction. Now let's define each. Content is what the learners need to learn or how the learner will get access to the information. Process includes activities in which the learner engages in order to make sense of or master the content. Product includes culminating projects that ask the learners to rehearse, apply, and extend what he or she has learned in a unit. Lastly, the learning environment is the way the classroom works and feels. Some strategies in differentiating content are using reading materials at varying readability levels, presenting ideas through both auditory and visual means, using peer teaching, and meeting with small groups to reteach an idea or skill for struggling learners or to extend the thinking or skills of advanced learners. Some strategies in differentiating process are providing interest centers, developing personal agendas or task lists that address the individual needs of learners, offering manipulatives or other hands-on supports, and varying the length of a time a learner may take to complete a task. Some strategies in differentiating product are giving learners options of how to express required learning, using rubrics that match and extend learners' varied skill levels, and allowing learners to work alone or in small groups on their products, and encouraging learners to create their own product assignments as long as the assignments contain required elements. Some strategies in differentiating the learning environment are making sure that there are places in the room to work quietly and without distraction, as well as places that invite learner collaboration, providing materials that reflect a variety of cultures and home settings, setting out clear guidelines for independent work that matches individual needs, and developing routines that allow learners to get help when teachers are busy and cannot help them immediately. Some sample activities for differentiated instruction are silent reading, research projects, accelerated reader, websites, journals or learning logs, listening stations, and word walls. Instead of the traditional paper pen test, there are other forms of assessment that may be used to gauge learners' attainment of the curriculum competencies. First is the exit cards. Another is using response cards, which may be pre-printed, learner-made, or simply written on boards. Next is the Think-Tac-Toe, which is just a transformation of another game that we used to love. Different graphic organizers may also be used, such as the cause and effect fishbone diagram, planning organizer, and Venn diagram. For a less structured activity, mind mapping may be used. Now let's get to work again. Here's a blank template of the model for differentiated instruction earlier. Choose a particular grade level and place it in the box labeled Student. Next, choose a sample learning competency in the curriculum for the grade level you have chosen earlier and place it in the box labeled as Curriculum. In the box's content, process, product, and learning environment, place 5 different ways or methods to present the learning competency you have chosen earlier. You can do it! Just a few more reminders. When planning to use differentiated instruction, remember to examine your philosophy about individual learner needs. Start small. Envision how an activity will look. Step back and reflect. Talk with learners early and often. Don't forget to empower learners, and most importantly, teach for success. In a traditional classroom, differences are acted upon when problematic. Assessment is most common at the end of the learning to see who got it. Coverage of curriculum drives instruction, and whole class instruction dominates. For all the learners, just a single text prevails. But in a differentiated classroom, differences are studied as basis for planning. Assessment is ongoing and diagnostic to make instruction more responsive. Learner readiness, interest, and learning profile shape instruction. There are many instructional arrangements and multiple materials are provided. Lastly, bear in mind and in heart that it's not our differences that divide us. It is our inability to recognize, accept, and celebrate those differences. So what are you waiting for? Go on and plan and implement differentiated instruction for your learners now. Thank you for listening.